look forward to going on this journey with you. Each episode, I'll talk to guests of all walks of life, and I'll ask them the behind-the-scenes truths we all want to know. I'll reach out to newsmakers, celebrities, athletes, and ordinary individuals who were there during some of the biggest events of our time. Together, we will hear the story behind the story. So let's get started. This is The Edge of It All. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Edge of It All. Appreciate everybody joining us today. And we have got such a special guest for you on this episode. I would introduce her as a musical artist that is up and coming, but quite frankly, she's already arrived. With her new album release, Glory Hour, it is our pleasure to introduce a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, a member of Jay-Z's Rock Nation, and a singer who brings just a unique blend of soul, folk, jazz, and even gospel to the table. It is our pleasure to welcome Victory to The Edge of It All. Victory, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Trey.
Absolutely. And now that we know where you're coming from, so everybody knows, coming live from Switzerland. Appreciate you being with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Even though you were such a young artist, 28, correct?
Yes.
28. Your story is so full and it's so interesting, from singing at age 4 to winning a Grammy to releasing this latest album, Glory Hour. Do you ever stop and just think, man, what a road I've already been on?
Every day, man. And the thing is, the world is so big, you know. There are a lot of people, and a lot of people that have experienced me, and a lot of experiences that I had to have. Even in that, there are so many that I've already had, and you know, it's a wonderful life, a wonderful journey.
We mentioned you singing at age 4. You were obviously, you were from a musical family, from Detroit. 9 siblings, your parents were in the music business. I think it was safe to say, I mean, you fought your way into, I believe, a choir at age 6. Fair to say you were just born to sing?
I believe so. I had to cut everyone else of that. And that was how I really got my start, was when convinced, like, going out to convince my parents and all the other grown people that, you know, I deserve to sing, I'm born to sing. And then once they gave me a shot, I didn't let them down. I had this understanding that singing is not a right, it's a privilege. It's something you get to do. It's not something you just automatically are able to do, because to something that you, if you're given the opportunity, cherish it, you know. And so, yeah, I just held that onto that for my whole life. Is, you know, grab hold of the opportunity if it presents itself, sing and let the world know that you're born to sing.
And at such a young age, I mean, were you just comfortable? Because you think about that, you know, and some kids are shy, and here you are saying you're born to sing or in a choir at 6. I mean, was it just something? It seems elementary to say you're born with it, but I mean, were you just comfortable from day one?
Well, one thing about me is that it has something to do with my name, you know, with my name being Victory. And when someone presents a challenge, it's some part of my psychology is out to prove that I can overcome the challenge. And so the challenge was, you're a baby, you're not old enough to sing, you can't sing, babies don't sing, babies want to play, babies take naps. That was the challenge. And my thing was, I am big enough to sing. I am, it was basically, I wanted to demonstrate that I was the most disciplined, the hardest worker, the, most deserving, the best tone quality. Like, I worked extra hard at it because I didn't deserve to sing apparently because of my age. And so I had to earn that right. And so that was, if I was probably a regular kid without the name Victory, then maybe it wouldn't, that trick wouldn't work on me, but it did. Here we are,
Well, yeah, and
24
sometimes
years
names,
later.
right, and names tell a story sometimes, so that speaks for itself.
Yeah,
Moving
exactly.
forward in your life, your family moves to New Jersey. For you, I believe you and four of your
Yeah.
siblings, form Infinity's song, and you guys are singing around New York City, tourist attractions, maybe Central Park, subway platforms, all this kind of stuff. Maybe you do that for about 10 years or so, if my math's correct, before your big break comes.
Yeah.
How did that
Exactly.
experience form you as a person and the kind of music that now we see coming out of you?
Busking in New York City, and by the way, busking is when you sing for tips as people
Right.
pass by. So busking in New York City was a very educational experience because it's an international stage. You have people from just about every country on the planet in your audience, and you find what draws them. You find the songs, you find the sounds, you find the messages that resonate with every kind of person of every race, every culture, every language. And and therein you have done your job well. And so to do that on the street for 10 years was then able to inform me in how to serve just the human race as a whole. Many people, they only serve specific demographics, people that believe what they believe or that look like
Sure.
them or that speak the same language that they speak. My thing is, how can I be true and universal at the same time? How can I serve as many people possible and be honest and sing and carry a message of truth that will relate with every human being, as many human beings as possible. And so that really showed me, obviously you don't win everyone. Many people pass by, but
Sure.
you find that as you put forth your best effort, you have a percentage of every kind of person receive your art. And so for me, it's like now that I'm in the commercial music industry, my goal is to make music that resonates with humans, not just these kinds of humans or those kinds of humans, but make it universal and like everyone needs love. Everyone sometimes feels lonely. Everyone sometimes feels lost.
Absolutely.
Everyone, yeah, everyone at some point needs a savior, and so I find these common denominators and I intertwine them in my music. And that's my goal, to serve many people possible.
Look at that 10-year span, because it's not a short period of time. I mean, we're talking a decade.
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you to keep going and keep pushing? Or was it just the love of the music that made it easier to do that?
It was a combination of destiny and survival. So believing that at some point, all of these hours of singing will pay off and it will make a huge difference in me fulfilling my God-given purpose over the span of my entire life. And then the second reason was that was how my family made a living.
Right.
And so if we didn't do it, I mean, we'd have to all go get regular jobs.
Who wants to do that?
Well, this was both. We were able to make a living and prepare for a life of world-class singing. And so, even though it's unconventional, it was still very much served two very big purposes.
Out of that came exactly what you said. This opportunity where your voice would be heard by the people that you wanted to hear it. And you were essentially discovered coming out of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, a performance basically coming out of Central Park that was videoed that went viral.
Yeah.
And you wind up, and please tell us this story about how that happened and how that winds up with you sitting there with Jay-Z getting ready to sign with Roc Nation.
Yeah, so actually, the video that made its way to Jay-Z actually was not a viral video, but there was a gentleman by the name of James. He is the younger brother of Seal, the huge recording artist, Kiss from a Rose Seal. So he's really connected in the industry, and he's good friends with Jay-Z. And so when he heard me singing, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the next Tracy Chapman. This is the next Amy Winehouse." He was blown away. And he's like, "I've got to connect her with Hove." That's how he calls Jay-Z. Sure. I got to connect her with Hove. And so we get connected on email. James connects me and Jay-Z on email, and he sends Jay this video of singing "Feeling Good" by Nina Simone.
Right.
And Jay is blown away, like, "Hey, can you come to the office next week?" And which was crazy because I was probably in Central Park singing tips when I got that email.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? So then a few days I'm there, and I just knew it was a mountaintop experience.
Can you take me to that moment, though? Because for, the millions of people around the world who are going to be fans of Victory, most of us will never have the opportunity to sit there with Jay-Z, much less have him say to you, "I think you're incredible, and I want you to be a part of my team." That feeling for you, can you take me to that moment?
Yeah. So, think 10 years singing underground, singing in the subways, singing just above ground. It's like a plant. I would think of us like there are so many plants and trees in Central Park that had different seasons, and depending on the season, like it's all underground or it's just sprouting up, and then it comes and it blooms in spring season and all these things. I held to myself that I'm like these plants. Like the New Yorkers, they water me by tipping and encouraging and clapping, but I grow year after year. I keep growing, but it was almost like a building, like a skyscraper. Like it takes years to really build those foundations. If you skip over a foundation and you try to build a big skyscraper on top, it's not going to be sustainable. And so it was like we were just underground building foundations for 10 years. And then suddenly, not only were we above ground, we were at the top floor of this skyscraper in New York City, sitting down at a boardroom table with Jay-Z. It's like suddenly we were no longer underground. In a moment's time, it's like, nope, these seeds are no longer seed form. They are full-on plants. This skyscraper is not just the foundation that you can't see above ground. Like you can see them now. So suddenly, in a moment's time, we were seen. Many people saw us, but not seen as a respected, art that you would pay, a lot of money to come and entertain. You know what I mean? Like suddenly
it got real
at that level.
Exactly. It got real in a hurry. So you signed with Roc Nation, which is, that's to say that is career making or advancing your career is a vast understatement. And then you get into the point in your career where you collaborate with Kanye West. And this is the point of your career where you did win a Grammy as part of his team for your work on his album, Jesus is King. Songs such as Closed on Sundays, God Is. But the question I have for you before I ask you what it was like working with him is, how did you pull that off? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's some courage in victory as well. And how you got your music to Kanye, can you tell us how you did that?
Yeah, it was very providential on God's part to, the fact that I was even in the same room. It wasn't my normal course of life activities. I just happened to be invited to Sunday service by a gentleman of the name of Robert Smith. And this guy, I had no clue who he was. I just met him at a award show that I happened to go to because I was a guest of someone else. Everything was just like, I just happened to be there, and I just kept going along with the flow. And then I just happened to be invited to Sunday service, and I'm there, and I'm like, I'm blown away by the choir and the message and the power. It was the fullness of the gospel from the top of this celebrity pop culture,
right?
And in full excellence. I was blown away, and I said, I don't know how I got here or why I'm here, but I know that I'm here and I need to be a part of this in some way. And so right after the service, I just walk up to Kanye and I introduce myself, and I tell him about my album. At the time, my latest album was The Broken Instrument, and I told him he needed to hear it, and he was like, I'm busy right now, I can't do this. But then I told him, well, I can perhaps send the album to Robert Smith, because I thought the guy who invited me was a part of his team. And when I said Robert Smith, he thought I was talking about a different Robert Smith, who happens to be a billionaire and famous.
That matters.
Yeah, but I didn't know the Robert Smith he thought I was talking about. I just was saying, I'll give my album to Robert Smith, who invited me. But when I said the name Robert Smith, he was really impressed. He was like, oh, wow, I really got to hear this girl. And he's like, well, if you know Robert Smith, sorry, the waves are rolling here. I don't know what it is. It's like the tide is rising or something. But anyways, I hope it's not disturbing you.
Oh, you're fine. The story's great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so he's like, if you know Robert Smith, you'll probably be at the 4th of July ranch weekend at the ranch. And I was like, hopefully I can come. So I had no idea what this 4th of July weekend at the ranch was. I planned to ask the Robert Smith I met if he could get me in, but He had no clue what I was talking about. It turns out I was booked anyway on the 4th of July weekend to sing at a private event. I later found out that private event I was already booked to perform was a ranch, and it was owned by billionaire Robert Smith.
Crazy.
And so I had never met him before. This is why I'm saying it's a God thing. It's like a providential. There's no way you can make this up. And so once I find that out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to sing my songs live for Kanye in person, and I've got to be ready because he's going to be there at the ranch. And so I get ready, and when I perform at the ranch, Kanye is not anywhere in sight. And so I just forget about it, and I focus on delivering a good performance for the audience. And at the tail end, I sung all of my songs in my repertoire except for my song Broken Instrument. And Kanye walks in right before I sing Broken Instrument, which was my last song. He sits down in the front row, and I was like, this couldn't have been, you couldn't plan this.
Right.
So
Perfect.
I sing that song like it's a destiny moment. I get a standing ovation. Kanye comes up to stage afterwards and says, I've got to work with you. Then, so then we were in the studio together, and then within a month, and we started working on Jesus is King together after that. And then the rest is history. We end up winning a Grammy for it.
The part of that story that I find amazing, and it's an incredible story of, like you said, destiny and you know, like you said, God's providence and everything that you feel brought you to that moment, is the part where you went up to him and said, you need to hear my music, because not everyone would have I keep going back to this courage thing. Not everyone would have the courage to do that. We talked about it when you were a little kid and said, no, I want to sing in this choir now, not when I'm at the age limit. And now here you are going up to Kanye and saying, I think you need to hear this. It's a common theme, because not everyone has that within him to especially approach someone like a Kanye West. I mean, it takes guts.
Yeah. But also, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
No.
Good point.
Like, he said no.
Yeah. I mean, got to take a shot.
Exactly. You know, and here's the thing. He did basically say no. But at least I took the shot, because then the door opened up 2 weeks later, and I was able to make that connection even more strongly because of the fact that I took that step of faith in the first place. And so
right.
we just have to live by faith, even if it looks as if we're losing. You know, we have to still believe that it matters. And what if the only thing you're responsible for is taking this step? You're not responsible for winning. You're just responsible for showing up, opening your mouth, and letting your heart come out. You know, that's just whether it's verbally or singing or whatever. It's just, don't show up and stand in a corner. Showing up is half of it, but then after that, it's like, really try to connect. And sometimes it's not always the most famous person in the room that you're supposed to connect with. Sometimes it's the person you have no clue who they are, and they're sitting right next to you. And, you know, just respecting the value of all the human beings around you, and what would happen if we coordinated efforts and talents and skills, and we could do anything. We could create
Absolutely.
anything. We could be amazing. So.
And, you know, here the show's the edge of it all. So, you know, it's in the story behind the story. So you getting your story and kind of what happened behind the scenes to get you to where you are now is what we love to do. And we talked about, you got to this Grammy moment. And the question I have about that is, sure, I want to ask you about that experience, of course, and feel free to tell us what that was like. But for you, was that the moment where you felt, okay, I've made it? Or define for me what making it in this business means to you.
I definitely didn't feel like I made it. I remember being in my studio and reading an email saying that we won. And then I was like, I told my engineer and my collaborators in the studio, I'm like,
you still go back to individual.
But I only feel like.
Hello?
Not sure what that was, but we're still here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I said, hey, I think I won a Grammy. And they're like, you won a Grammy? I said, I think so. And like, it says, Jesus is King, the winner of the Contemporary Christian Grammy. Like, that means you won. I'm like, oh, yay, I won. And that was it. And then it was like, let's get back to work.
There you go.
We are working, like, The thing is, a lot of times we don't get celebrated when we need the celebration. Like I would have loved to have a whole party when that album crossed the finish line and it was released. It was like all these soldiers, because all the writers and all the producers, it's like we are finally able to just relax. Like
Mm-hmm.
we did it. And that was when we really needed to be celebrated and championed. A Grammy came well over a year later when we had
Sure.
done so many other projects and moved on to so much more life. And it's like the world is usually late to celebrate the most significant victories you've won in your life. And so I've taken this principle and I've really learned that I have to become good at celebrating myself, because most of the time it's going to be like, just think of it like this. Think of if someone found the cure for cancer, they're in their lab, no one else is in their lab with them. It's just them and all of their drugs or whatever they're like formulating. And they find the winning combination. Now they know that all the years and all the trial and all the error and all of everything is in this vial of this formula that they just found out.
I'm with you.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. But the world doesn't know it yet. Yep. And so you just scored a major victory and you're the only one that knows. And you have to you probably won't be recognized for another 10 years. I mean, you'll get recognized, but not for what it really means. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if you're doing it for the recognition, you won't survive making impactful work, because usually the recognition is not there when you succeed.
Great point.
It takes time. It takes time for the world to catch up. And so, it was almost like I mean, we should have won. I mean, I felt like we won the day we finished, and it's not like a condescending kind of thing. It's more of like we were winners ever since that day we finished.
In this business that is so hard to make it in, what sets victory apart, other than just this incredible voice? What makes you different?
Well, I would say my faith. And I'm not even just talking about religious faith, although that is a big part of it. You have a lot of people that believe in God but do not believe in themselves. I'll say that again. We have a lot of people that believe in God but do not believe in themselves. They don't have faith. And then you have some people that don't believe in God, but they believe a lot in themselves, and they get a lot more done than people that believe in God.
Very true. Very true.
It's faith. Faith is your ability to believe in that which you do not see, as if it's already done. You know what I mean? It's like I ran a marathon once, and I was not trained to run a marathon, but I believed that it was already done before I started. And so I just didn't let anything undo the fact that it's like, there's no way I'm not finishing, because I've already finished, and I'm just collecting what's already done. It's like, I'm not going to let anything come into my mind that will undo, even if it's, oh, well, you're just so weak and tired. No, it's like, we're going to finish. And so that's not to boast on myself. It's because the Bible says that Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. There have been many times when I just didn't see it, and I was just tired, or I've been going so long, or I just don't have the capital, or whatever it is. And I've stalled projects and all sorts of things. I didn't have like this unction of faith to just go, go, go.
Right.
But I know the one who can give me faith. Sometimes we just don't have it. We might have enough faith to start, but we don't have enough faith to finish. I've been in all of those places.
I think we all have.
Yeah. Yeah. But it really, it boils down to being able to turn around and believe anyway, even in the face of all your doubts. And sometimes you can't find that belief. And so what I do in that moments like that is I look to the author and the finisher of my faith. I look to Jesus, and he gives me that faith.
I love it. And you are so strong in
the
that
faith that I need to finish.
Yeah. You are so strong in that.
Yeah.
And it takes me, and it takes me to a question about that faith, the type of music you make, sometimes with that faith, and that theme built into your music, versus this world we live in, this secular world that produces so much music that, is sex, drugs, violence, all that kind of stuff. Was it difficult? Did it present a challenge to you to fit this faith-based message music into this commercial music sphere? How much of a challenge was that for you?
Yeah, it just takes me back to growing up busking. When we busked, we weren't singing to a Christian audience. We were singing to whosoever will. Whoever will stop and listen, that's who we're singing to. And you'd be surprised how many people are willing and love and are needing and want the gospel.
Yeah.
And they might not know it, but they love it. They love the songs. I think of the song "Oh Happy Day." It's huge. It's a massive hit in Europe, which is notoriously known as like an atheist kind of more. It's not like the United States, but you bust out singing "Oh Happy Day" here. You know what I mean? It's like, It is something that's just infectious. Nobody's thinking, oh, that's the gospel. Oh, that's a gospel song. I can't sing that because it's not about sex. Like, you'd be surprised. You just have to believe that it'll work, even against all the grain of everything that people do to make money.
Yeah. What about struggles and setbacks? What would you say have been the struggles and setbacks in that you faced in this music industry?
Yeah, I've faced a lot. I've faced a lot of setbacks, especially with the pandemic and then the mandates. And I've faced a lot of setbacks with contracts and management teams and all sorts of just tangles. And I've gotten to a place where I find that it's kind of dangerous to look up to look down on yourself in comparison to other powerful people and institutions. And because what happens is you have this big hole in your soul and you try to fill it with things. You think, oh, if I travel the world, then I'll be at the next level. Or if I enter a contract with this person, I'll be at the next level. Or if I go viral, all these things, if I have a sold out tour, all these things. But what happens is we forget about the fact that we are at the next level. We are living a dream that we once had. And somehow it's still not next level enough.
Yeah.
Somehow it's still got us like, oh, well, when I get there, or when and it's like, if it's like a mirage, it's like a mirage. Most of us are chasing mirages. And so, I've had a lot of time, especially through the pandemic, to really boil down what matters and what will matter when all is done. Like, because I could die tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, will the songs that I sang have mattered? Sadly, for many artists, the answer will be no.
Oh, yours will.
That's my goal. That's my goal. That's my goal. And so, yeah, there's many setbacks, but I just step back and I sing, and I it's not just a song. It's like an answer. It's a response to all of the setback and all the oppression and everything that would try to hinder you from singing. Then you sing anyway in the face of it. And that's the song of victory.
There you go.
It's not a song, and I just want to say this: the song of victory is not a song because you won the Grammy or you won the championship. The song of victory is the song you sing when you have no right to be singing anymore. You should not have joy. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be in a corner, beat down, but then you open up your mouth in that place and you sing anyway. Just about every one of my songs come from those kinds of places. And Fantastic. So it's like these albums are like compilations of these defiant songs. And that's what makes it a song of victory, because you sang anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. What an awesome message. You mentioned COVID. I just want to mention this real quick.
Yeah.
Again, we love getting the story behind the story here. And I think something people may not know about you is how you passed that time when you couldn't get out there and perform during COVID. You had an interesting job, did you not?
Yes. So what I did, I thought it would, what I did during COVID, initially I was just to myself. I thought we were going to be out of this in a couple weeks. We were not. And my manager at the time suggested that I start teaching. And I thought that was a horrible idea because I'm a Grammy Award winning artist. What am I doing teaching? But then I thought about it more. And I thought about what do I wish someone taught me in my journey as an artist? And the answer was, I wish someone taught me the art of expressing myself. I wish someone taught me it's not just about singing and being excellent at your craft. It's about having the courage to express the unique life that is your life. And so many people hide their unique life because they're trying to be cool. They're trying to be relevant. They're trying to be all these things. And we never get to see them. We never get to hear them. And so I started teaching songwriting. I taught the art of expressing yourself through the medium of songwriting. And I mentored and taught people of all ages from all over the world over Zoom for about 2 years, even up till December 2022.
That's awesome.
And so, it's one of the passions. It has since become a passion of mine, and I'm excited to get a hold of my schedule, because now that I have an album out and all the promotions and everything for that, it's like, how can I run an album, do a tour, and have a regular teaching schedule? Yeah. I haven't. You're
juggling a lot of things,
but it's still, exactly. But it's still very much a passion of mine.
What's it like? And this is the fan question that gets into. Again, we're talking with Victory here on the edge of it all. Appreciate her being with us. You know, when somebody just says, "Hey, what's it like to work with Jay-Z?" Just a brief, short answer. What would you tell them?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what it's like to personally work with him, but I was signed by him, and now I work with his staff.
There you go.
And so I haven't been in the studio cutting tracks with Jay-Z. That's not something that I've ever done, but I'm sure it's awesome.
Well, same question with Kanye.
Kanye,
You can
on the
answer
other
that
hand,
then. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was the most educational music experience I don't want to say I've had in my life, but it was very close. It changed my life. Because I got to see Kanye. The thing that makes him brilliant is that he unashamedly expresses exactly what is his life.
Right.
He's not trying to be cool. He just is cool. Some people, you can hear in their sound that they are trying to be cool. And Kanye is like, I define what cool is. I invent what cool is. Like, it's just himself. And I believe that if every person had that level of confidence in themselves and their ingenuity in the way that God made them, I believe that there would be a higher level of creativity and ingenuity and inventions and songs and scripts, and we would be walking in the fullness of who we are, because we're created in God's image. And every day God paints a painting in the sky. Like, we have this brilliant creativity inside of us, but most of us can't get it out because most of us don't believe it's in there at all. And so we look out into the world to tell us what to create instead of looking inside to find what is already there to create. And so I witnessed that with Kanye. He didn't look to anybody else other than himself to find out what to express. Yeah. And then what happened is he allowed other people to develop his ideas, develop his expression. So it's two different things. The value of your expressions, even if they are raw, they're still valuable.
Absolutely.
And then the next step is to take your expressions through a process of development and prepare them to get ready for consumption. And so when I saw how Kanye did that, I mean, a lot of stuff that he created, most people would look at, oh, that's just mumbo jumbo, or that's just like, oh, that's not real music, or if you heard it. But he's like, no, this is the song. Now I want all of you guys to take through the process of development. That showed me, oh, we overthink stuff way too much. And I got to see the process from scratch all the way through to completion, all the way through to a Grammy. And I was like, okay. Most people are they come, they go, they get a class because they're insecure. They don't think they know anything or that they have anything. So they study, and then the colleges and schools fill their head up with knowledge of all the ways that you're supposed to create. And they never teach you how to express what is uniquely you.
Yeah.
I know that's what Kanye has the edge on. And
and that's the message, right? Yeah, no, I hear you. Exactly. No, I love it. Well, hey, you can use that pun anytime you want. Feel free. But that's the message, right? I mean, that's the message you're trying. Yeah, Kanye kind of brought it to you and you saw it there. But now you're moving it forward, putting victory spin on it. And this is your message that you want to give to your fans, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we'll leave that with. Let me give you the opportunity before we let you go. Tell everybody the album's out. Just like in Heaven's, one of the singles that you've released off of that. Tell us about the album and the inspiration behind it.
Yes. Okay. So my sophomore album, Glory Hour, is out now. It was released last month. And the inspiration behind this album is that, every 24-hour time period, we are reminded that darkness does exist. However, we are also reminded that it cannot remain in the presence of the sun. There is an appointed time every single day where glory devours all of darkness, and darkness can't stand. And so we have we have darkness in our lives. And my goal with this album was to encourage people to wait with expectancy for glory hour, because there is coming a time when every tear will be wiped from our eyes and all of our fears will be gone. And Jesus, in the same fashion that the sun comes every morning and abolishes darkness, so will Jesus do the same. And if you're not religious and you're not in a position to receive the fullness of that message at this moment, then at the least I want the album to encourage you that things will get better soon. Just wait, and this too shall pass.
I love it. I have to say, you know, we started this interview talking about what has already happened in your life at age 28. You are the positivity and the wisdom that you bring in an interview like this is quite frankly refreshing. And the positivity and the music and everything else that I've had a chance to go and listen to is quite frankly, I think it's needed. And I just think it's an incredible accomplishment to be where you are, but to stick to the message that is your message is perhaps the most impressive thing. And we can't thank you enough for coming on the edge of it all and sharing that story and that message with us.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Trey.
Absolutely. One more thing. Where do you want people to follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on any digital platform. Just look up Victory Boyd, Boyd. That's how you spell my last name.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully we'll have you again. So much more we could talk about, but thank you for coming on the show. Everyone, go listen to Glory Hour and appreciate Victory. That'll wrap up today's episode of The Edge of It All. Please listen to us on UBN Go International Network or wherever you get your podcasts. We are available across all podcast outlets. Thanks again, Victory. Appreciate you being with us.
You're welcome.
And appreciate her joining us today. Incredible talent, folks. Seriously. Get out there and listen to her music. I've had the pleasure of doing it lately. It's really incredible. Also, big thank you to our audience for listening to The Edge of It All, where you will get the story behind the story. Every other week, a new one with inside scoop you have never heard before. Till next time, everybody.